a bright yellow Plymouth Barracuda sponsored by a toy company tearing down the drag strip. It sounds strange now, but 5 decades ago, it shook the world. Don Prudhomme didn't come from money or factory backing. Born in San Fernando, California, he grew up in Van Nuys, where his father owned a body shop. Surrounded by cars, he learned to paint them for income while dreaming of something faster. He dropped out of high school because the only thing that interested him was automobiles, and school wasn't getting him closer to the drag strip. Like many legends, his beginnings were humble. He delivered newspapers, mowed lawns, and worked on a ranch, saving enough to buy his first mini bike at 14. His first dragster, bought from friend Tommy Ivo, had a Buick V8 engine that was hopelessly uncompetitive. But Don had something more valuable than money: raw talent and lightning-fast reflexes. By the early 60s, barely 20 years old, he teamed up with engine builder Keith Black and team owner Tom Greer. Their dragster, the Greer, Black, and Prudhomme machine became legendary in Southern California, with an incredible 81 wins and only 8 losses by the end of 1964. Crew member Joel Purcell nicknamed him the Snake for his lean build and sharp reflexes. Don hated it at first, but quickly realized it was perfect for marketing. The big break came in 1965 when he joined Roland Leong's Hawaiian dragster team. With Keith Black tuning engines, they won the Winter Nationals in Pomona and the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis that same year. At just shy of 24, Prudhomme had arrived on the national stage, though critics said it was Leong's money and Black's engines that carried him. By 1970, drag racing still ran on shoestring budgets. Racers traveled from track to track, hoping prize money would cover the next trip. That's when Tom McEwen came up with a plan that would change everything. McEwen's mother worked as a secretary at Mattel, and his stepfather was an attorney for the toy company. Using that connection, he pitched a wild idea. What if Mattel's Hot Wheels cars were based on real racers competing on real tracks? When McEwen told Prudhomme, the Snake wasn't convinced. He preferred top fuel dragsters and didn't care for the funny car class. But after meeting Mattel's vice president, Art Spear, everything changed. They signed a deal worth $12,500, each more money than either had ever seen. Plus backing from Coca-Cola, Pennzoil, Goodyear, and Plymouth, who provided engines and even personal street cars. The only condition, they would race funny cars exclusively under the Hot Wheels banner. The marketing was genius. If Prudhomme was the Snake, McEwen became the Mongoose. Every kid knew a mongoose kills snakes, and suddenly drag racing had its own action-packed storyline. Then came the car that angered everyone. The bright yellow Plymouth Barracuda funny car debuted in 1970 with Hot Wheels graphics and the Mattel logo. A little boy wearing a crown sitting on the letter M. Traditionalists hated it. The sport had always been about hard work in dusty garages, not corporate sponsorships. Now, a toy company and a hotshot driver were turning racing into business. The car's bulky fiberglass body and bright paint looked more like a toy than a racer. Some called it ugly, others called it revolutionary. Track officials questioned its design, and rival drivers muttered that Prudhomme had sold out. But Don didn't care. He focused on performance. With crew chief Bob Brandt, he constantly refined the car, changing spoilers, experimenting with windshield shapes, and even tweaking logos mid-season. The roof spoiler nearly caused liftoff at high speed before being replaced with a rear deck version. The Mattel logo itself evolved. Early on, it had the crowned boy. Later, it became a cleaner design without the gear-shaped edges. Even small details like the Plymouth emblem or Prudhomme's racing number changed from race to race. The car was in constant transformation. Outdated Kragar wheels stayed on the car longer than expected, part of a sponsorship deal that promised new Super Trick wheels the following year. Every inch of the car told a story of innovation, improvisation, and corporate evolution. Prudhomme rarely ran the car at official NHRA events in 1970. The real money was in match racing head-to-head showdowns with McEwen at local tracks across the country. Crowds poured in to watch the snake and the mongoose battle live. Kids brought their toy versions, connecting their bedroom drag strips with the real thing. This was more than racing. It was entertainment, marketing, and culture merging for the first time. Mattel's investment paid off, and the sport would never be the same. But despite the fame, Prudhomme remained a racer first. He still competed in top fuel events and even won the U.S. Nationals that year for the second time in a row. That same weekend, a horrific crash nearly killed fellow racer Jim Nicole, whose dragster split in half in front of Prudhomme's eyes. Don thought he'd watched a man die and briefly announced his retirement, shaken by what he'd seen. Later that year, a new yellow Barracuda appeared, a slimmer, more advanced version built by John Butera. It had a narrow chassis copied from Don Schumacher's championship-winning design, and an airbrushed grille that made the headlights look alive. The upgraded car debuted at the Grand American Finals, and then the Super Nationals in Ontario. Funny car technology was evolving so fast that a single season felt like a revolution. By the next year, the yellow would be replaced by red, white, and blue. Prudhomme finally had a funny car worthy of his talent, and the Hot Wheels partnership proved it wasn't just about toys, it was about transformation. The yellow Barracuda changed drag racing forever. It showed that racing could attract big sponsors, that drivers could earn real money, and that kids could connect with the sport in ways never seen before. It upset the old guard. It frustrated racers who couldn't get the same deals. It even made sanctioning bodies nervous about losing control. But it also saved drag racing from staying small and underground. It made it national. It made it profitable. It made it modern. Decades later, Prudhomme restored those iconic Hot Wheels cars and took them on a national tour before they were auctioned. They stood as symbols of when two dreamers, one called Snake and one called Mongoose, turned drag racing into history. That bright yellow Plymouth Barracuda pissed off the entire NHRA establishment. But it didn't ruin the sport. It revolutionized it. And if you ever hear someone call sponsorship selling out, remind them of Don Prudhomme's yellow Cuda. The car that proved selling out was sometimes the smartest move a racer could ever make. Surrounded by cars, he learned to paint them for income while dreaming of something faster. He dropped out of high school because the only thing that interested him was automobiles, and school wasn't getting him closer to the drag strip. Like many legends, his beginnings were humble. He delivered newspapers, mowed lawns, and worked on a ranch. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe. More stories of drag racing legends are on the way.